Friends, I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, so let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet before we get into the business of the day. We got to make sure the tubes are connected and appropriately functional. You know, we got the feds in the tubes. We never like that. It looks like they're working, though. That's tremendous. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun, deep in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And today we are talking about revenge because Donald Trump delivered a burner yesterday. And he was responding to his arraignment after being indicted for the second time. And so we've got the highlights. We're going to go through his speech a bit and break it down, take a look at some reaction because the media was censoring him. It was just amazing. Wall-to-wall coverage of Donald Trump when he's being arraigned. But then when he comes out to explain himself, they turn off the cameras. So we'll go through that. We've got 3 clips from him. He spoke for about 30 minutes. I picked a couple of highlights out and specifically talking about the seal being broken. We thought this was going to be the situation. If one side does it, if one side launches the nukes, well, I guess everybody should just launch nukes now. If one side kicks you in the nads, unfortunately, it's going to turn into a nad kicking contest. And we're not happy about that, but it's how it is. So we've got Rachel Maddow. We've got a response from Joe Tacopina. He's discussing a lot of this as well. All of that will get up to speed here in the first segment. Not a ton to go through, but we'll see what Trump had to say. We've also got some updates on the allegations against this prosecutor named Karen Gilbert. And she's come up here before. We've talked about her as being somebody who a long time ago was involved in witness tampering and actually had to remove herself from a various position. We'll take a look at that article. But Matt Gaetz sent a letter on this. He specifically wants to know about who's on this person's team. I mean, if Karen Gilbert's on this team and Jay Bratt is on this team, and we know that there's other allegations about what Jay Bratt has done, specifically with Walt Nauta's defense counsel. Well, what is this team made up of? It's like a bunch of derelicts. We'll go through it. Then we've got Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's got a proposal for us. She's saying that it's looking like maybe she's going to make good on her appropriations promise, trying to defund Special Counsel Jack Smith. So those are the updates on that. Then we're going to turn our attention and go on offense here a little bit. We've got the Biden crime family that is for a long time here been covering up their nefariousness, but I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to hold back the floodgates. We have FBI, now we know, covered up through redactions the fact that there were audio recordings on that FD 1023 form. And we've got Chuck Grassley, who came out and tells us that the whistleblower who was responsible for recording these audios is telling us we've got 15 calls with Hunter and 2 calls with Vice President Joe when he was the vice president. So we're going to get some background on this. Who is the person making the payment? Chuck Grassley's going to give us a speech. We're going to try to stay awake for it, but he does talk through this. It's very good. And then we've got reaction from Byron Donals. He'll wake us back up, and we'll also see what's happening over there at the White House because Ashley Biden gave Joe this bizarre intro. She's like, "You're welcome, America. You're welcome for Joe. You're lucky to have him." And then Joe Biden came out and mumbled something, I think before he spit the marbles out. I'm not sure. But he's laughing about all this. The Daily Mail asked him about this as he was walking down the hall, and he's just kind of like, well, it's just prosecuting my political enemies, so not a big deal. And the RNC got a clip of this where Joe was basically falling asleep here. I think his whatever methamphetamines were wearing off or something. And so now he's waking back up, or the amphetamines. His son is on the methamphetamines. He's just on regular amphetamines. I misspoke. It's hard to keep track of all the crackheads in the family. So we've got that. Now in our final segment, we've got a lot of fun here. We've got 3 different senators, including Senator Ted Cruz, Martha Blackburn, I think Martha, and Hawley, who all go after these FBI agents because when we were very busy with the Trump arraignment, the FBI was getting scolded when they were trying to renew their FISA warrants, the FISA power, And so Cruz was grilling them on this specifically, talking about the Biden cover-up. Why did they redact the information about their recordings? Why, if it's unclassified, can't they just give it to us? So we'll get into all of that and more. And so it's going to be a full show, my friends. And if you want to be a part of the show, well, the best place to do that is by joining us over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we're doing something new over there. We're doing Trump, now since we're in the middle of this historic prosecution that's shattering the future foundation of America, we're going to be checking in regularly with the Trump docket. This morning, we took a look at the Trump docket. Now, the reason why we're not going to do that every day here on the show is because sometimes it's just 2 minutes, it's 3 minutes, it's a short update. So there's not a lot to get to. But if you're interested in following every single detail of what's going on in the Trump docket, we're going to be really spending a lot of time on this because this is a once-in-a-lifetime prosecution, and we're just going to at least touch on it and see what's going on. And so if you'd like to join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com is a great place to do that, as is joining our private Telegram group. When you become a member, you get access to our private Telegram group, and you can join on YouTube or you can join on Locals. And unfortunately, my friends, I have a show note update. So tomorrow and Friday, unfortunately, we are not planning live streams here today. I know, I hate it. But the reason for that is because I've shared here with you before that I've got a genius. I'm a part of a networking group called the Genius Network. Not that I'm a genius. They are geniuses. I don't know how I got in there, but we've got an event tomorrow and Friday. It's a full day event. So it's going to be from, I think, 8 to 4, which means I'm not going to be able to prep for the show. And that's a bummer. But I am planning on posting some additional content because when I'm down at the Genius Network, there's a lot of amazing people who are there, and I want to share some extra content. So I might post something, but we're just not going to be able to do a live show tomorrow or Friday. We'll see if I can maybe do an interview or squeeze out some content while I'm there. But it's an amazing group, a lot of American-loving people there, America-loving people, and it is a ton of fun. A lot of online people, a lot of entrepreneurs, people who are turning the gears of a lot of the things that we see out there are there. So I'm very excited about being there. And what's cool is tomorrow night, I am going over to hang out with Viva. He is in town. So I don't know if you saw this before we get into the show today, just, you know, some show updates. So Viva is in town and he is here. So we're going to get some shout outs to Viva and his daughter, who is going to just be crushing it in the National Speech and Debate Tournament. All right, they're in Arizona. They're a stone throw away, right away. They're right around the corner from where I'm at, literally right around the corner. So we're going to go hang out tomorrow. Viva is also not maybe able to stream for a couple days. He says, my kid is participating in a national speech and debate tournament. I also volunteered to be a judge. Judge Viva? And it looks like it is a 9-to-5 job the next few days, but I'll tell you what, yes, I love Arizona. Clean, dry desert air. It's true. And I'm dinnering with Rob Govea. So only good things. All right. So Viva is going to be acting judge at the National Speech and Debate Tournament. Shout out to his kid, who is going to be crushing in the competition, in the tournament. We're expecting big things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you don't already know Viva, of course, he does a lot of other very talks about a lot of the same topics that we talk about, and even, you know, more broad topics, right? Really does a lot of even investigative stuff. So great channel to follow. You'll find him on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitter. So we're going to hang out tomorrow night, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, so that's what's going on. So apologies that there won't be a live show. But if you're a member, and if I can get it done, we're going to post some extra stuff for our members and our supporters. And so thank you for joining us at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. All right. And now, my friends, before we get into it, we've got to make sure we're properly nutrified and fortified, courtesy of our friends over at Field of Greens. Now, I know we'd all like to lose some of those leftover pandemic pounds, but how sick are you of all the ads for the weight loss pills and the fad diets? We've all been there. We've all done that. They don't work, but you know what does? Eating 5 healthy servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that, and the weight would probably just fall right off. But look, vegetables, I know it, not a huge fan of those. And fruit, goes bad in like 3 days. Don't worry about it. Instead, get some Field of Greens. Why? Because Field of Greens is a science-backed formula of specific fruits and vegetables that you won't find in any other product. We know that proper nutrition reboots your metabolism, so you burn calories faster and lose weight the healthier way. And Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Yes, You'll look and feel healthier fast, but the greater proof comes at your next checkup when your doctor says, wow, you look great. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And so let's get you started. Go on over to fieldofgreens.com. Load up your cart with all the goodies there, become healthy, and save 15% off with code Robert when you check out. That's fieldofgreens.com, 15% off with code Robert when you check out. And so with that, my friends, let's get to it. The meat and potatoes on the show. We're digging into the Trump prosecution, and Trump has a message. Revenge, Donald Trump, saying that after he is reelected and takes back the White House, he will be appointing a special prosecutor to do the same thing the Democrats are doing to him. Mutually assured destruction means both sides are going to assure destruction of the other side. And so now that the Democrats have crossed the line, have decided to turn their key and launch the nukes, Trump is saying, all right, well, I guess we can do that too. As soon as we win, we're going to do the same thing back to you and see how you like it. And unfortunately, this is happening in America, and Donald Trump didn't act first. A lot of people turning around and saying, well, maybe he should have prosecuted Clinton. Well, he didn't. And he held the precedent that was set for hundreds of years in this country. Soon as Joe Biden came in and said, we're going to have a return to normalcy, guess what happens? He shatters hundreds of years of precedent, decides that he's basically not going to run a campaign. His campaign is going to be the criminal prosecution of the leading Republican and his top political opponent in the country. So Trump says, all right, I guess, well, they broke the seal. We're going to have to do the same thing going back. After his arraignment, Trump flew back to Bedminster, New Jersey, and he delivered a burner of a speech. We've got 3 clips here. The first where he's talking about Joe Biden being absolutely corrupt, something we all know well here. Here is what Trump said.
Today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty.
Right
in the middle of a presidential election in which he's losing very badly. This is called election interference and yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. More importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or communist nation. This day will go down in infamy, and Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy.
It is a sad state of affairs, and I think they're celebrating it on their side. They think this is a giant victory. Oh, good, we're going to be restoring justice and order to America by shattering precedent and prosecuting our political enemies for conduct that we did. Very similar conduct with Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, and I would argue worse conduct, quite frankly, in every one of those cases. But they did not get prosecuted, and Trump did. And on this channel, we spent a lot of time talking about timelines, and when Trump was first indicted in New York, we brought up the Bolshevik Revolution and what was taking place back then in the Soviet Union. And we talked about how things go very slow and then they go very fast, and there's all these little markers and pivot points in history where people in the future look back and they study what happened and they say, what went wrong? Where did this all go awry? And that's why when Trump was arraigned on federal charges, it was really a sobering moment for me. And I know for you, and I know for many other people who care about the things that have made America, America, that seem like they're evaporating. It felt like this was one of those points in the timeline that when we fast forward and we look back and we say, why is America now 3 different regions rather than the United States? Why is it a little different here than it is over here? Why are these fractures starting to emerge? It's going to be this moment, the moment when Joe Biden, in a pitch to return to normalcy, has done the most insane thing that has ever happened in this political process that we go through every 4 years in this country. And it's going to be that juncture that I think is going to result in serious consequences for the country They're saying it's to save the country. We know that's not true at all. They don't want to save the country. They want to reshape the country and create the country that they want. Republicans are the MAGA Republicans. The white supremacist movement is just a euphemism for people who don't agree with the Democrats. So this is extremely troubling. Trump is calling Biden corrupt. They're celebrating this as though this is a return to normalcy and that corruption is being evaporated, when that is anything but true. And they are so far deluded that they can't even realize what they've done. Trump continues on. Now he's talking about why this prosecution in particular has been weaponized against him.
Don't forget, this persecution is being done by the same weaponized agencies that for 7 years have been running illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people.
And Trump. Crossfire Hurricane was the big one that we followed a lot. Russia, 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 Mueller. It goes on and on and on. Then we fast forward, and in 2020, we have the CIA working with Anthony Blinken to deliver talking points. Former CIA, okay, sure. Ex-CIA, right. And they worked and they colluded with 51 other people to sign a document to blindside the American people with a report, with a thesis that was not accurate at all. And now we're supposed to believe that all of these people are on the up and up. All these FBI agents are suddenly great. And the DOJ is honest and ethical? No, give me a break. Nobody believes that. Because if you have to be a fool to do that. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, not going to fool me again, George Bush. But it really goes fool me again, shame on me. So this would be, what, the 7th time now? There's a new scandal every year. Michael Sussman's trying to collude with Jim Baker. You've got all of these people. And now we're supposed to trust them, that this one's really bad. I keep seeing that all over the place. Bill Barr, no, but this one, though, is really bad. Yeah, that's what you said on level 6 and level 5 and level 4. You've said that every time. No, but this Ukraine stuff is really bad. No, but this Russia stuff is really bad. No, but Trump and Giuliani, they really are working with the Russians and promoting Russian disinformation. Seriously, it's 51 people who signed this thing. Same thing now. Same thing. No, but really, now it's classified documents this time. Give me a break.
Much as if they were trying to destabilize a foreign country. From the Russia hoax.
There it is.
To the no collusion Mueller witch hunt. To impeachment hoax number 1. Impeachment hoax number 2. The 51 lying intelligence officers. How about them? They said it's Russia disinformation.
Lying.
And they knew it wasn't. Which made about, according to some of the great pollsters that are right here, made from anywhere from a 10 to 17 point difference. And yet we still got more votes than any sitting president in history in the second election.
10 to 17 points.
And we actually did.
If America had known what we know now, if the FBI or CIA, all these people sitting on the Hunter Biden investigations and colluding with the Biden campaign, if they had been honest, this may not have gone that way. Isn't that amazing? But now though, they're telling the truth this time. Isn't Donald Trump literally running again? Are we in bizarro world? The hell is going on here? He's running again. They did the same thing in 2020 that they're trying to do here. And everybody's telling us that we should consider this independently.
Much better in the second election than we did in the first election. The fake dossier paid for by the Democrats. How about the fake dossier? Remember that one? You think that was easy to go home and say, "Hello, darling, how are you?" when they read about that?
No, I'm sure it
wasn't easy at all.
Fake Christopher Steele
spying
dossier.
on my campaign. We caught them spying on my campaign. The FBI, Twitter files, and so much more. It's all been a battle of disinformation, one thing after the other, and all to protect the radical left misfits. It's also no coincidence that these charges against me came down the very same day. Evidence revealed Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from Ukraine. Took a $5 million bribe.
And we're going to get into that story in a later segment. But Trump is exactly right. It's amazing now. All of a sudden, everybody on all of these other places, Bill Barr and CNN and MSNBC and Jake Tapper and Rachel Maddow, they say, no, but this one's really serious, though. As though they didn't say that the last 3 or 4 times. So now that we've got all of this laid out, Trump says, all right, I guess this is the new game. I mean, I guess it's just nad kicking season everywhere we go. America is going to be waddling around for the foreseeable future until she collapses.
If the communists get away with this, it won't stop with me.
It will not.
They will not hesitate to ramp up their persecution of Christians, pro-life activists, parents attending school board meetings, and even future Republican candidates, which they do. We must end it permanently, and we must end it immediately. Now that the seal, so important, is broken, the seal is broken by what they've done. They should never have done this.
And this was such a beautiful phrase. The seal has been broken. That's just a Trump phrase that you can't engineer better. They broke the seal. There's no returning it. It's yours now. How dare you? You've tainted the whole thing. You've infected the American body politique by opening it up. It was sealed. It was severed. We didn't have this problem that other countries had where we've got people being politically prosecuted, but they broke the seal. And now all of the garbage can get right in. So, okay, guess we got to play this way. What are you going to do, Trump? Let's hear.
This was an unwritten rule. You just don't.
You don't do it.
Unless it's really bad.
Really bad.
But you just don't. But the seal is now broken.
Yep.
In addition to closing the border and removing all of the criminal elements that have illegally invaded our country, making America energy independent and even dominant again, and immediately ending the war between Russia and Ukraine, I'll have it ended in 24 hours.
Wow.
I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America,
Right
Joe
on.
Biden.
Two can play at that game,
And
buddy.
the entire Biden crime family. Name a special prosecutor.
Go get him.
And all others involved with the destruction of our elections, our borders, and our country itself. They're destroying our country.
If they can appoint special prosecutors for just a smattering of probable cause, Donald Trump can do that too. There's tons of probable cause. We know the FBI has open investigations into these people. So we know Joe Biden has access to classified documents. We think Hunter Biden had access to classified documents. We better get to the bottom of that and see whether Joe Biden was involved in dissemination of classified materials to old Hunty Poo as he was traveling around the world. It's only fair, and it's unfortunate that this is how our government is now running, where we're prosecuting people one right after the other. And if it's not Trump, it's going to be the next Republican. The amount of pressure to come to bear on them for this, because if Trump doesn't win, then that means he's probably getting convicted of something, and he's not going to be able to pardon himself. And so he is going to be in the American public spotlight for a long time as the victim of a political prosecution. The amount of pressure that is going to be on the next Republican administration to go after the Democrats and recoup some honor, for crying out loud, is going to be off the charts, and rightfully so. I mean, it's like, even if you don't think the other person should be prosecuted, you just have to prosecute him. Like, well, I don't know. Sorry, sucks to be you. All right, go get Hillary, go get Hunter, go get Weiner, go get all of them. Go get them all. And we just unleash. Is that the country we want to live in? It is, according to Joe Biden, because he threw the first blow.
And when I'm reelected, and we will get reelected, we have no choice. We're not going to have a country.
Did you hear what he said? We have no choice. He doesn't have a choice. Legally, he doesn't have a choice.
Anymore. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We will obliterate the deep state. And we know who they are. I know exactly who they are. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving.
I will never be moving. And honestly, I think that is true. I mean, I really think that that is a true statement. Trump is an immovable force. He's been an immovable force. And that might be part of the reason he's in some trouble, right? Is because the DOJ and the FBI and all these people were on his back, and he's like, get out of here. You guys are losers. And these documents aren't even that big of a deal. You let Hillary Clinton send emails with classified materials from a basement where she stored her own private server. So don't breathe down my neck about classified documents. You could have set the standard with Hillary. You didn't. So Trump is treating these things like they're a joke because our government was treating them like a joke. Hillary could just do whatever she wants without any repercussions. Why can't Trump? But this is a powerful point. I think that he is in a situation where he's got to actually win, or else he's going to be in serious legal jeopardy. Here's Trump.
On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country and we will make America great again.
Make America great again. So amazing speech from Donald Trump, an actual burner, and they're promising to appoint a special prosecutor to really go after the other side in this game. And I think that is a good call. And we're looking forward to seeing that actually happen now that we're entering into this new phase. But while Trump was being indicted and arraigned, the media, these censorious cheaters, that's basically all they do, is they just show you one side of the story all day long, and then they play it off like they're news people. All right, oh, we're bringing you the news, and we're being honest and fair and impartial, when they're not. They're just being partisan hacks, at least admit it. So this is Rachel Maddow, and as they were covering Donald Trump being arraigned all day long, all day, they then, when it's time for Trump to actually speak and share his side of the story, they cut him off.
Making public remarks, just as he did on the evening of his first arraignment on criminal charges. That was April, when he was booked on 34 felony counts brought by the state of New York. Now tonight, after his arraignment on federal felony charges, he's speaking again, this time to an audience of his supporters that's gathered for a campaign fundraiser tonight at his golf club and summer home in New Jersey.
Yeah, if you guys are going to launch political prosecutions against him, he might as well raise some funds for his political defense, which is winning.
We knew heading into this that he was planning to make these remarks. We are prepared for his pre-fundraiser remarks tonight to again be essentially a Trump campaign speech.
Oh, wait, what?
Because of that, we do not intend to carry these remarks live.
Oh.
As we have said before in these circumstances.
Why not?
There is a cost to us as a news organization to knowingly broadcast untrue things. We are here to bring you the news.
You didn't even hear him. You haven't even heard him speak. He might be saying something about the arraignment. Don't you want to hear about that? Isn't he a presidential candidate? Isn't this a historic moment? But you see what these people are doing. They're trying to thread the needle. And we talked about this yesterday. This is a situation that reminds me a lot of the 2016 campaign, when Donald Trump had wall-to-wall coverage because it was the most exciting thing anybody could see on TV. And that really gave him a lot of energy and momentum that slung him into the White House. And they put a clamp on that in 2020. They did not air wall-to-wall coverage of Trump. They really minimized him in every way, shape, or form. So then when this little thing happened yesterday, and every single news anchor on CNN and all across the world were all breathing and hysterical over Trump being arraigned, it was wall-to-wall. We couldn't turn it off because it was everywhere. But then they're trying to thread the needle. They only want to show you bad Trump. They don't want to show you any good Trump. So we can get used to this pattern as the election moves forward. We're going to see where they just show us the good stuff that serves their side, which in this case is bad for Trump. And then when the good stuff, when Trump comes out to defend himself, they'll censor it and they'll shut it off. And so we'll see this pattern come up time and time again. It's extremely dishonest. These people say that they're news organizations, and they're only showing you one side of this whole debate because they're hacks.
Hurts our ability to do that if we live broadcast what we fully expect in advance to be a litany of lies and false accusations, no matter who says them.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you've got liars on your show all day. You put them on the air all day. And then Trump comes out to defend himself, and you don't even have the courage to play it. Come on. You can't even let him speak after you've just smeared his face in his arraignment that is brought by your side and your political hack prosecutors. All right, so Jake Tapper's doing the same thing. Here he is trying to flirt with AOC.
We do have now some of the sound, as I told you. We're not, and the audience, we're not carrying his remarks live.
Why not,
because,
Jake?
frankly,
why?
He says a lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous.
Oh, dangerous, yeah. All right. So there's Jake. Now, he's very, very concerned about danger in America, which is why he's not going to air Donald Trump. All right. So they are just cheaters. We'll get used to it. That's all they do. They're going to show bad Trump. Good Trump is going to be buried for nobody to see. But we have Joe Tacopina, who made his way on to the air. He was over discussing the case, and this is one of Trump's lawyers in the New York case. And so we don't think he's involved in the Florida case, but he's still going to give us some perspective on exactly what is happening here. Here is Joe Tacopina.
Related in so many, they are related in so many different ways. Nobody wants to talk about it, though, Joe. Nobody in the media wants to admit it. They don't even want to acknowledge that they lied to the American people with conspiracy theories for 3 years and got away with it. It's all like, oh, okay, we'll move on to the next thing.
Listen, Sean, what you just did there, that little monologue and that series of clips you put together was so powerful. It was a powerful opening statement as to why there at least should be parallel investigations. I mean, they're spending all this time, millions of dollars, hundreds of prosecutors investigating Donald Trump, anything Donald Trump, find the target and then go seek the crime. Not the way it's supposed to be in this country. You have apparently real evidence of crimes by Joe Biden and his son, at least evidence that seems to be worth an investigation, and we can't even get that here. And that's what's so sickening to the American people. Look, it is unconscionable for a president to indict his leading political opponent. That's what the Biden Justice Department just did. Joe Biden kept classified documents. I mean, honestly, I thought the day they uncovered those classified documents in Joe Biden's garage by his Corvette, which looked like a pile of garbage in an open area, I thought that was the day that there was no further to do on the classified documents case for President.
Yeah, it'd be obvious, right? Okay, and we saw this in real time. If you remember, Trump got raided. The media was hysterical, like hysterical. I can't believe this. And then I don't know how long it was, but a couple weeks later, a month later, Joe Biden has some classified documents at the Penn Biden Center, and the media went silent. They just went, oop. Suddenly wow, I guess it's not that big of a deal, because Joe, I think, had more documents than Trump did, and he had them at multiple locations. They found him at, I think, 2 different locations. So it turned into this quiet little, classified documents problem. And Mike Pence came out with the documents problem. And so I agree with Joe Tacopina. I thought, all right, maybe they won't charge him because the other people have done something just as bad. But of course, that was not ever going to happen because there are double standards that exist. Trump adheres to a disfavored class in this country. You don't get the same system of justice if you are a Trumper, a J6er. If you're anybody who challenges the government, you're already labeled and categorized as a MAGA insurrectionist, a homegrown violent extremist for saying 1776 and stuff like that. So Joe Tacopina is, I think, legally right. It's insane that a prosecutor would bring this case when even James Comey admitted that no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges against Clinton. And what she did was worse than this. She was literally emailing people from her email account, sending emails about classified information in emails on a private server, which takes a lot of intentionality to set up. And she was using President Xi Jinping's Wi-Fi when she was doing it. So massive double standards, but you can see from that, you should be able to extrapolate. It would be nuts to charge Trump, but they did it because it's Trump.
And Trump, because how could they look so ridiculous to go and indict President Trump for the same thing that Joe Biden may have done? And this is, and I agree with what Matt just said, the law is on President Trump's side here. This is not a case. The Espionage Act does not rule supreme here, and it's not going to apply at the end of the day. So,
but you know what? The defense is not going to be able to bring up.
This is a sad day.
The defense won't be able to bring up, will they, how they treated Hillary or how they treated Joe? Will they?
Correct. I
doubt it.
Well, the defense will bring it up for sure in a motion to dismiss this based on selective prosecution. That I will guarantee you. That'll be brought up by the Trump legal team for sure. We will file something that would show there is a selective prosecution being made here. That's not before a jury. Of course, when we get to a jury, the different question will be for Todd and Chris will be, can they convince the jury that the law is on President Trump's side? And it's going to be important how obviously the judge views that and what he instructs the jury is what the law is. But the law is on his side. And what's been done here is weaponization of our justice system. Sean, this is a really, look, we had this conversation a few months ago when we were arraigned in front of New York State Court with Alan Bragg's case, a case that is in shambles.
Alan?
You know, now here we are again. And they're not going to stop yet. Things seem to be happening on the left that, you're right, gets a brush over, complete brush over by the media, and it's really sickening. It's hypocritical, obviously, and it really is a scary day for this country, because you heard President Trump, he's angry, and it's the pendulum now going to swing both ways. Is this the new norm?
Yes.
Where political opponents use their Justice Department, which is not really theirs, to go after political opponents?
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is the new system, unfortunately. Joe Biden started it. Kind of sucks for America, but this is, I guess, adults back in charge. The adults are back in charge. All right. So that is the special prosecutor that Trump promises to appoint when he retakes the White House, and we're looking forward to that. Now, we've got to talk about this prosecutor, and Matt Gaetz is on the case. Special Counsel Jack Smith has a team of other prosecutors who are helping him to pursue Donald Trump. One of those people is called Karen Gilbert. And Matt Gaetz, you know him as a United States House of Representatives congressman, sent a letter over to Merrick Garland asking for details about Jack Smith and his team. Why? Because Karen Gilbert, who I still can't find a photo for, has some interesting things in her background. She's on the special counsel's team, and we know that she was reprimanded in a previous incident that happened some time ago back in the 2009 era. Now, this is more about her. It says, accusing federal prosecutors of knowingly and repeatedly violating ethical guidelines in a high-profile narcotics trial, a Miami federal judge Thursday, this is years ago, reprimanded multiple assistant U.S. attorneys who took part in this case, and they fined the federal government more than $600,000. In this older case, the judge issued a 50-page order, takes federal government to task for acting deceptively and, quote, in bad faith in the case of a Miami Beach doctor named Ali Shagan. He was acquitted of 141 counts of illegally prescribing painkillers. Now, the fee of $600,000 is going to be repaid to him because that covers his legal fees and costs. Now, the judge in this case, here's the name, Karen Gilbert. The judge formally reprimanded prosecutors Karen Gilbert and another woman named Andrea Hoffman and said he would send a copy of the order to the Florida State Bar. The U.S. Attorney's Office, when they were prosecuting this guy, this is what these lawyers did, these prosecutors who are supposed to be fighting in the interest of justice and pursuing just outcomes are doing. The U.S. Attorney's Office began a secret, undisclosed side investigation of the defendant's legal team. They went and snooped on his lawyers. Karen Gilbert, who is back on this case, right? That is an unethical thing. That's not a mistake. This isn't like, oh, you know, you were a bad communicator and you got a bar complaint because you got overwhelmed or something, right? Lawyers know what I'm talking about. This is not a complaint because you accidentally had some bad bookkeeping and your trust account is in disrepair or something. You can fix it up. Okay, get it fixed up. Or it's a money problem or a fee dispute or something like this. No. This is a government prosecutor, and defense attorneys are jumping out of their skin. Undisclosed investigation of the defendant's lawyer's team, the defendant's legal team. So if you're a defense lawyer, you're getting investigated for defending your client. Citing a suspicion of witness tampering on the part of the defense. They just made up a reason. Oh, we think they're tampering with the witness. Unfortunately, for her, no evidence surfaced that the defense team was manipulating any witnesses. In fact, on the contrary, defense attorneys rejected bribes that were floated on tape from government informants. Okay? So, this U.S. attorney, I'm guessing, is using the FBI, who's investigating this Shagan fella, to send informants into the defense attorney's office, bribe them so that they can breach attorney-client privilege in order to get access to their internal conversations. Karen Gilbert. prosecutor prosecuting Trump. Sounds like a nice person, right? I'm sure she's ethical too. Says, I'm doing real bad with money. You know what I'm saying? Witness Carlos says on tape, according to the court documents. So that's who's on this team. And there's more on this from actually the Miami Herald out of South Florida. They said the pair face stiff penalties. A federal judge called their actions flagrant. Gilbert wanted to take punishment in their own hands. Gilbert stepped down, asked to be transferred to another division from the criminal division. She's back on the criminal division now. They arranged for 2 witnesses to secretly tape record phone calls with defense attorneys and his investigators. They were ratted out by one of the witnesses on the stand, okay? This went all the way up to the moment of trial, and a witness broke down on the stand. That's how dishonest this prosecutor is. She was going to convict this dude, literally convict him at trial. But a witness, thank God, broke down and told the truth, prompted the investigation, and they had to just dump the case. Justice Department called the episode deeply regrettable. Right, deeply regrettable. She still works there. Okay, right, in a situation like this, some people might say that if she's trying to rig this case against this guy and he got convicted of 141 counts, maybe Karen Gilbert should be responsible and serve the penalty for all of those 141 counts for trying to rig the case and breach her honesty, breach her integrity, breach what she swore as a prosecutor to do. Maybe she should be prosecuted. But she's not. She still works there. She didn't even get fired. Okay, she got demoted. And now she's on this case. She's on this team. Great person for the Democrats to have on their team. Somebody with very limited ethics who's got a history of being corrupt as can be and wiretapping defense attorneys. It's amazing. So Matt Gaetz sent a letter over to Merrick Garland about this, obviously upset about it, as we are. Going from the Congress of the United States, U.S. House of Representatives, dated June 13th, this letter goes over to the Honorable Merrick Garland, U.S. Department of Justice. Matt Gaetz says, hey, Mayor, I write to you today with a simple ask. It's not going to be so simple, bro. You're dealing with the DOJ. He says, please produce to my office in writing by July 7th the following. Mayor, I want 1, all staff rosters, phone lists, similar records within the custody or the control of Jack Smith and the DOJ. I want all employees hired or detailed to work on this team. I also want all communications of the Office of the Special Counsel, whether electronic or otherwise, relating to overcoming or piercing any legal claim of privilege. Now, isn't this curious? Do we see a parallel issue populating this story? We do. What is one of the key pieces of evidence in Donald Trump's case? The lawyer's notes. Evan Corcoran, lawyer 1, who we believe is lawyer 1, had some notes from Donald Trump when Trump was talking to him. And Trump said, wouldn't it be better if we just don't tell him the documents aren't here, something like that? And the media is melting down over that. Oh gosh, this is proof of intentionality. This means that he is knowingly trying to commit a crime here. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, these people have never worked in the law at all. They don't know what they're talking about. But every single defendant who's ever been charged with a drug crime, okay, maybe not everyone, but large percentages of them, they say something like, well, what if I say the drugs aren't mine? Okay, and guess what? Prosecutors don't get to go and breach their attorney-client privilege because they ask that question. Sheesh. This is what you do with lawyers, is you ask them questions like that. Well, what if I say this? What if I don't go to court? I've had people, what if I just move out of country? Well, okay, you can do that. All right, you've had people, okay, well, you're from China. You don't care if there's a warrant out from your arrest here? Just go back to China then, go for it, And these people can ask questions because it dictates what they're going to do. And what happens is you don't have attorney-client privilege that gets breached willy-nilly. Remember what Karen Gilbert did, though. She tried to go breach that attorney-client privilege by alleging that other lawyer was essentially committing a crime by being bribed by other witnesses. So she was trying to say that lawyer and that lawyer's client were in an attorney-client relationship for the purposes of furthering illegal conduct. That's what breaks the seal to use a Trump term. That's what breaches the privilege, and they can get in on it. Okay, so Karen Gilbert, the same prosecutor in this case who did that in this case, they breached Evan Corcoran's testimony. She did that same thing, or attempted to do it, and got busted doing it back in the 2009, whenever that case originated. Same parallel. In fact, that might have been a job criteria. You know, hey, can you breach attorney-client privilege? Oh yeah, I've done that in the past. Didn't work out so well, but I learned a lot. So you're on the team. Get on the, you're in the starting line. So Gaetz wants to know whether there was executive privilege that was breached, attorney-client privilege, including the crime fraud exception, work product, any other privilege, including policy documents, and Gaetz wants all communications between the special counsel's office and any state bar association and the 65 Project, which is this organization of whack jobs who are out there trying to remove lawyers' licenses for doing their jobs, right? Doing their jobs and trying to say if you supported Trump in the courtroom as a lawyer by defending a defendant's rights or moving their claims forward, you should no longer have a law license. Just like what these sickos did when doctors were taking stands. They said, well, you should not be a medical doctor anymore. So Gaetz wants to know all about it. He says, as you're undoubtedly aware, Merrick Garland, the work of Special Counsel Jack Smith is both highly irregular and of extraordinary public concern. Indeed, it is of such a concern that the DOJ, has fielded multiple requests of Congress from individual member offices and even full committees. My office alone, Mayor, fields numerous calls of constituents asking repeatedly about the special counsel, his authorities, and how his office is structured. It is beyond debate that this simple staff list that you've given to us, or not given to us, cannot be withheld from Congress or the public on the basis of attenuated and entirely fantastic privacy concerns. Gaetz says, this information is not only of public interest in the abstract, but it's highly critical to the ongoing oversight and the work of our Congress. It is already in public that one of Jack Smith's deputies, Karen Gilbert, resigned in 2009 from her position as the head of the narcotics section for the U.S. Attorney's Office because she engaged in conduct which the DOJ says it, quote, deeply regrets and which cost the American taxpayer $600,000 in settlements. The misconduct was both referred to the DOJ Office of Professional Responsibility and to the Florida Bar. Furthermore, the Federal Election Commission records indicate that Miss Gilbert, listen to this, has made thousands of dollars in donations to Biden for president. Oh, you're kidding me. Thousands of dollars to Biden for president and Obama for America and for the DNC Victory Fund. Oh, what a shocker. Obama Victory Fund 2012 too, and a lot of other associated partisan organizations. That's neat. So she's been a government prosecutor for all of these years. I mean, she was a U.S. attorney in 2009. So she was there for the Obama years. She literally donated to Biden for president, okay? And now she's prosecuting Trump. What a coincidence. Amazing. So Gaetz says, while there are, she's like, this is a great job. Yeah, I hate that guy. I love this. Thanks for, I'd love to be a part of your team, Jack. Thanks. While there are innumerable valid legislative purposes for this request, it should be obvious that doing due diligence in vetting an office that has apparently done no vetting of its own personnel or worse might be affirmatively be seeking staff with sanctioned lawyers and partisan hatchet men and women is an entirely appropriate purpose, and one small reason I'm requesting this information. Saying additionally, the 118th Congress has procedural tools in place to allow for targeted rescission of funds. We're going to take that money back, buddy, from various components or subcomponents of agencies that are not operating in the public interest. Gaetz finishes, he says, finally, it is a matter of public record now that at least 27 devices that were used in the Mueller probe were unlawfully wiped clean of records, often by senior prosecutors on that probe, including Andrew Weissman and Greg Andres, and more junior staff like Kyle Freeney and Rush Atkinson. They all deleted their evidence because they didn't want to be found, I'm sure, to be talking about what they were doing to try to get Trump. And Andrew Weissman, we know, is all over MSNBC now. He's a rabid anti-Trumper. And they wiped all their phones. I wonder, like what, with the cloth, Matt? Did they do it like with the cloth? Or did they use hammers like Hillary Clinton did? So Gaetz says, I am deeply concerned that such flagrantly illegal and debarrable conduct, like losing your law license for being an unethical hack, seeking to cover up prosecutorial misconduct, will be repeated by Special Counsel Jack Smith and his team. So as a result, I want to make sure that these guys who already have a history of misconduct don't wipe their records. Please take care, Merrick, to comply with all record-keeping laws. Please provide my office with copies of the notices and training that were provided to the staff, giving them their notice of their obligations to not delete their files. We better not have any deleted phones here. Sincerely, your friend, Matt Gaetz, member of Congress. That got sent over to Jack Smith, or to Merrick Garland, to Jack Smith, from Matt Gaetz, Committee on the Judiciary. Good letter from Matt Gaetz. I hope we get an answer to that. Now, elsewhere in the House, we have another thesis on how possibly to put a stop to this nonsense. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this on Twitter. She said the following, and I know we're mad at Marjorie still for the insane, what's it called? Fiscal Responsibility Act. And remember, when she told us that this was going to be good for America, she said that they were going to use the power of appropriations to do things. Remember, she said that. So now she's, I guess, making good on it. Let's see where this goes. She says, we have to use the power of appropriations to stop the weaponization of government. I'm introducing an appropriations rider to defund Special Counsel Jack Smith's office and the entire investigation. That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be one way to do it. Says, where are the investigations into true criminals like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton? Good question, Marjorie.
Today, I'd like to announce that I'm writing an appropriations rider to defund Jack Smith's special counsel, his office, and the investigation. This is a weaponized government attempt to take down the top political enemy and leading presidential candidate of the United States, Donald J. Trump. We cannot allow the government to be weaponized for political purposes. I'd also like to ask all of my colleagues to join me in this effort. We have to use the power of appropriations to stop the weaponization of government, especially in light that we know that there are others who are guilty of true crimes. Never forget that former Secretary of State and Senator Hillary Clinton had classified documents on Anthony Weiner's laptop, who was convicted of sexting a minor inappropriate pictures. This is not how classified documents should be handled. There should have been an investigation done into that. Don't forget Joe Biden's documents that are sitting in his garage next to his Corvette where the door opens and closes. America sees this for exactly what it is, and we will not allow it to stand. I yield back the remainder of my time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. I'd like to see Jack Smith, the special counsel, defunded. Maybe the appropriations rider is the right way to do it. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene going to get it done? I don't know. She certainly talks a lot. We'll see if she's able to deliver. But it is another thesis, it's another theory, and it's another effort. And what would be interesting is if she did put it to a vote, if that got up in front of the full House, what Republicans would break? Where would they fall on this issue? It would be a nice thing to see what their position is. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz demanding answers, and we're looking forward to much, much more of that. And so now, my friends, while all this is going on, we have the massive double standard of the Biden crime family that is operating with seeming impunity. But not so fast, because we've got some serious recordings that are apparently coming out at some point. But the FBI did something bad. The FBI covered up the fact that there are audio recordings of Joe Biden and the whistleblower saying that there was a deal being done. We've got 17 audio recordings, 17 different phone calls Chuck Grassley tells us about, apparently coming from Burisma from Ukraine. 15 of these calls were recorded specifically with Hunter Biden, talking about these bribes, talking about these deals. And 2 of those calls were with the Vice President Joe Biden himself. And so we've got a lot of reaction on this, but the FBI covered it up. Remember, to catch up on this, we had this battle over this document, and the FBI finally brought it over to Congress, and they showed it to James Comer, and they flashed it real fast, and then they brought it back and they flashed it again real fast, and they didn't give any possession of it. But what they flashed had major redactions on it. We thought, wow, wonder what could be redacted. Well, Chuck Grassley tells us it was a section that says that these audio recordings exist. And so I want to get some background on this before we jump into the clips. This is what the story tells us over from this agency, this news site. It says Joe Biden allegedly paid $5 million by a Burisma executives as part of this bribery scheme. And they've got some more details on this. Apparently, it was $5 million by an executive of a Ukrainian natural gas firm called Burisma. And this came from a confidential human source telling this to the FBI in June 2020. The sources briefed Fox News on the contents of the FD 1023 form. The form was dated June 30th, and it is from an FBI interview with, quote, a highly credible CHS. This CHS detailed multiple meetings and conversations he or she had, with a top Burisma executive over the course of several years, starting in 2015. So it's one step removed, right? The source was speaking with the Burisma executive who was actually doing the deals with the Bidens. Fox News hasn't seen the form, but it was described. The form is used to gather information. The Burisma executive sought the advice of the confidential human source, who's another business professional, on gaining U.S. oil rights and getting involved with U.S. companies. So he's a liaison. The Burisma executive was speaking with the source to get advice on the best way to go forward in 2015, 2016, when Joe Biden is the vice president. According to the form, the confidential human source said that Burisma, the executive, discussed Hunter's role on the board. The CHS questioned why the executive needed his or her advice in acquiring access to U.S. oil if Burisma had Hunter Biden on the board. He said, "What are you talking to me for? You got Hunter on there." The Burisma executive said, well, Hunter Biden is dumb, because he is dumb. He's not there for anything other than just influence because his daddy's the vice president. So the Burisma executives tells the source that Burisma had to pay the Bidens. He explained. He said, hey, well, I had to pay the Bidens because the Ukrainian prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, was investigating Burisma. He says, we can't enter the U.S. market when we're under investigation. The source detailed that conversation. He says, well, okay, why don't you pay the Bidens $50,000 each? He says, just give them $50,000. That'll be enough, right? Burisma executive says, no, that's not it. No, it's not 50,000, bro. It's 5 million. He said, it's 5 million? Yeah, it's 5 million for one Biden, 5 million for the other Biden, he told the source. So the source said, according to the documents, 5 million payments appeared to be a retainer. The 5 million was a retainer. Another source called it a pay-to-play scheme. Source said Burisma executive told him he paid the Bidens through so many different bank accounts that investigators would not be able to unravel this for at least 10 years. All the different shell companies, they're not going to be able to find the money. The document then makes reference to, quote, the big guy, which many say is Joe Biden. The Burisma executive told the CHS that he, quote, didn't pay the big guy directly. Obviously not. This source has been used as a regular by the FBI since 2010, paid over about $200,000. And sources said the Burisma executive appears to be at a very, very high level of the company. One source thought it could be Mykola Zolchensky, which is the actual CEO, I believe, of the organization. Okay. So the CEO of Burisma, or the founder, the head, is admitting he had to pay the Bidens $5 million each, and it had to go through massive different funds, right? Different bank accounts in order to cover it all up. Insane. Said that the name of the Burisma executive is also redacted in the document. So Biden has acknowledged that when he was vice president, he successfully pressured Ukraine to fire this guy, Victor. Shokin was investigating Burisma. Hunter had an $83,000 a month contract with them. Vice president threatened to withhold $1 billion of aid if Shokin was not fired. He said, I said, you're not getting the billion. I'm going to be leaving here in, I think it was about 6 hours. I looked at them. I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor was not fired, you're not getting the money. So they fired him. Biden recalled telling then Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. Biden recollected the conversation during an event. He said, well, son of a bee, he got fired. And they put in place someone who was really solid at the time. So now you can just connect it all back. Hunter is on the board of Burisma. He's not getting anything done unless he gets paid. He does get paid. Joe Biden puts pressure on the prosecutor who was investigating Mykola. That prosecutor gets fired because the Bidens got paid. Trump wanted investigations into this, but they don't care about those types of crimes. They only care about Trump types of crimes. So we now know that there was a lot more to this story, and Grassley comes out and explains this in an audio recording. And here is what he tells us on the steps of the Senate.
Last week, I came here to speak to my colleagues about the Biden administration and the FBI playing games with the American people by hiding the FBI-generated 1023 document.
We're going to try to
from
keep the
Congress
energy up here.
And the American people.
They hit
Director
the form.
Wray was going to be held in contempt for refusing to produce the 1023 that I told Chairman Comer about. And I think I had that first conversation with Chairman Comer about 3 weeks ago. Then instead of contempt, the FBI committed to showing the 1023 and related documents to the whole Congress. By the way, I thank Chairman Comer for his cooperation with me and how
Comer's doing a great job, no doubt about that. Comer's doing a great job. I actually pressed the wrong button.
I committed to showing code after the FBI committed to showing this document. They showed, but it didn't provide possession.
They didn't leave the document with Congress.
1023 to the House Oversight Committee last week.
They just flashed it.
And by the way, 1023 is unclassified.
Yeah, it is
So
unclassified.
why shouldn't the entire country know about what's in this 1023?
You're right, Chuck.
As the public knows, that 1023 involves an alleged bribery scheme between then Vice President Biden, Hunter Biden, and a foreign national. The same allegations that Chairman Comer and I made public on May the 3rd of this year. And on the very same day that the FBI provided a redacted version of the 1023 to the House Oversight Committee, the Justice Department then announced that former President Trump had been indicted and charged with 37 crimes related to his alleged mishandling of classified records.
Amazing timing on that one. Well
Attorney
done.
General Garland signed off on prosecuting Trump for conduct similar to what Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton engaged in. Two standards of justice in this country will turn our constitutional republic upside down.
Into a joke.
Thanks to the political infections within the Biden Justice Department and the FBI,
Yes.
we were well along the road for that to happen. this senator will do all that he can to fight political infection in the Department of Justice.
All right, so that goes on for another 7 minutes or so. What we're going to do is read the press release because it's much faster. And this is what Grassley posted over on his Senate site. He said, you know, last week I came to the Senate floor to give a speech about the Biden DOJ and the FBI. He says Director Wray was going to be held in contempt for refusing to produce the document. They just showed up, but they didn't provide possession. As the public knows, that 1023 involves a bribery scheme. Comer has been working on this for some time. Now, they announced this the same day they charged Trump, but Attorney General Garland signed off on prosecuting Trump for conduct very similar to what Joe Biden and Hillary did. Two standards of justice in this country will turn our constitutional republic upside down. And he says, with respect to the 1023 shown to that House committee, from what I've been told by folks who've reviewed it, it's filled with redactions. So Director Wray placed redactions on a document that is already unclassified. And more than that, the FBI made Congress review an unredacted, a redacted unclassified document in a classified facility. So that goes to show you the disrespect the FBI has for Congress. And you, Chuck. On a previous time on the Senate floor, I asked my fellow senators, what's so unusual about an unclassified document being given to the public? When on May 18th of this year, there was leaked to the New York Times a classified document and even the name of a confidential human source. So we're in this kind of strange situation here. A classified document can be leaked to the New York Times, but an unclassified document can't be made public to 300 million Americans? What? Accordingly, Chuck says, Congress still lacks a full and complete picture with respect to what the document really says. That's why it's important that the document be made public without unnecessary redactions for the people to see. But he says, now this is good. Chuck comes in, he says, now let me assist for the purposes of transparency. The 1023 produced to that House committee redacted reference that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversations with them. 17 total recordings. One more time. The House committee redacted, the FBI redacted the reference in that 1023 that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter, so this would, in my opinion, be Mykola Zlochevsky, right? The man at the top of Burisma. He apparently, allegedly, has audio recordings of the conversations, 17 of them. So the whistleblower, the CHS, doesn't have them. The person who recorded the calls is the person involved in the bribes. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023 that the FBI tried to cover up and they redacted when they showed it to Congress, Chuck Grassley knows this. The foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then VP Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case he got into a tight spot, which he's in, unless Joe can cover this whole thing up. The 1023 also indicates that then VP Joe Biden may have been involved in Burisma employing Hunter. He probably called him up and said, he's the smartest man I know, and you better employ him or else you lose your billion. So Grassley says, as I've repeatedly asked since going public with the existence of the 1023, what, if anything, has the Justice Department and the FBI done to investigate this? The DOJ and the FBI must show their work. They no longer deserve the benefit of the doubt. No more good faith. It's clear that the DOJ and the FBI will use every resource to investigate candidate Trump, President Trump, and former President Trump. Based on the facts known to Congress, it's clear that the Justice Department will use every resource, but it's clear that the FBI haven't had nearly the same laser focus on the Biden family. He says that Jack Smith used a recording against Trump. Well, what's U.S. Attorney Weiss doing with respect to these alleged Joe Biden and Hunter Biden recordings that are apparently relevant to high-stakes bribery schemes? Are they working on that at all? Grassley says, getting a full and complete 1023 is critical. It's important for asserting constitutional oversight powers for an out-of-control executive branch drunk with political infection. Remember, Congress has received 1023s in the past, and they've been made public. So asking for this 1023 to be turned over to the American people to read is not unusual. Grassley finishes up. He says, Congress owes it to the American people and the brave and heroic whistleblowers to continue to fight for transparency in this matter and make this document public without unnecessary redactions. And Grassley leaves this final sentence very ominous. And this is the main climax of this whole piece. Chuck Grassley says, I want everyone to remember that I have read the unredacted version. I want everyone to remember, including you people at the FBI who keep trying to redact this stuff, I have read the unredacted version. I have knowledge about what's in that you keep trying to cover up. And so when you keep trying to cover it up, I'm going to come back out and tell you what I know is in it. And I know what is in it is there's 7 allegations that there are 17 recorded phone calls that somebody has in their possession. And we would venture to say it's Mykola Zlochensky from Ukraine. So Grassley explains those audio recordings, and they are a doozy. Now, Byron Donald weighs in on this massive double standard that exists and Biden being caught on tape. Here's what he said.
Look, I think everything that Senator Grassley says does pan out because the document does state that the Burisma executive actually has receipts. That's all it says, that he has information, but you just don't know what the information is. And then the other piece that definitely pans out is that they moved the money through several accounts that would take investigators 10 years to find. That is the modus operandi of the Biden family, whether the money comes from China, Romania, and now it's looking like Ukraine. They move it through all these LLCs, through all of these accounts, and it ends up in the hands of the family. And by the way, I will add this. Joe Biden likes to say that the rich need to pay their fair share. Well, hey, Joe, did you pay your taxes on that $5 million? I don't think you did.
I doubt it. That's a lot of taxes, especially at Joe Biden's tax rates. So I'm sure he doesn't even want to pay his own tax rates. So I'm sure that money is floating around somewhere in some foreign account somewhere that nobody's even paying attention to because they're too busy prosecuting Trump. So now we've got, my friends, reaction from the Bidens. Now, something interesting happened last night. Apparently, while Trump was being arraigned as a result of a political prosecution brought by Joe Biden, they're very excited about it. They've been working very hard. This is Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley, who has one of the weirdest diary entries and a weird experience with Joe in the shower when she was a young person. But this is her reminding all of us. And look, if you're at home and you're like, gosh, Joe Biden is really kind of doing a bad thing to this country, kind of wrecking it. I hope you're paying attention to this. Okay, Ashley Biden has a message for you.
I am of you. America, you are so lucky to have him as your president. I don't know anybody who really, truly works harder for you, for the American people.
We're blessed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Now listen.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Ashley's father.
What?
She's the love of my life and the life of my love. Oh no, I couldn't be prouder of her.
Man, he can't hardly talk. Now, I know he just had a root canal on Monday, but this is hardly even led. What happened to his mouth? What happened to his lips?
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Ashley's father.
My name's Joe Biden, that's the father?
She's the love of my life and the life of my love.
Oh, gosh, pretty bad.
Oh no, I couldn't be prouder of her.
All right. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed America. You should enjoy it.
America, you are so lucky to have him as your president.
Yeah, America.
I don't know anybody who really, truly works harder for you, for the American people.
He's in bed by like 4 o'clock. All right, good Lord. All right, so that's Ashley Biden. Now, they're doing a weird thing. They're happy about this. They're like, yeah, we're prosecuting Trump. It's a great day. Just thrilled about it. Probably hopped in the shower together after the press conference. So Joe Biden is grinning and laughing about this. Because he just doesn't care. You know, he probably doesn't even know where he is most of the time. Biden grins and chuckles when asked about the alleged tapes of him getting bribed. Here's what it looks like. He just, whatever. Yeah, I got 5 million. I got 5 million, suckers. What's wrong with you? Man, I'm rich, baby. Yeah, I don't care. I'm rich.
Republicans are defending Trump despite his arrest and indictment.
Are there tapes that you accepted bribes, President Biden? Is that true?
Yeah, it's
Would
true,
you comment
baby.
on the arrest of the former president?
Yeah, it is. Got that money, baby.
Republicans are defending Trump.
Got that money.
Are there tapes that you accepted
Love
bribes,
that
President
money.
Biden? Is that true?
Would you comment on the arrest of the former president, sir?
Oh, that Joe Biden, so funny. Just doesn't even want to talk about it. Are there any tapes that you accepted a bribe, sir? He waltzes on down the room. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence for it. But that was before he had to give this very, very difficult interview before nap time, you can see. He's barely awake. The amphetamines are wearing off. And he's going to give us what I think is a very useful defense for Donald Trump. And as we do the compare and contrast on this classified documents case, we're always asking ourselves about standards and about equal application of the law and presumptions of innocence. And we really want to focus on defenses. So every time Hillary Clinton comes out and she makes an excuse, we want to say, does that excuse apply to Trump? If Joe Biden makes an excuse, does that excuse apply to Trump? These are defenses. And because they have this very dynamic now standard where they prosecute some people and not other people, based on their political ideology, we also want to know how these defenses work and how the mechanics work in their bizarro world of justice. And so here is Joe Biden giving us a valid defense that time that elapses is a strong defense. So we could theoretically use that in Trump's case. If Trump's documents are classified but old, right? If they're expired, if they're no longer relevant, then I guess it's not that big of a deal. And that defense is valid because Joe Biden used it.
I made voluntarily, no one's had to threaten to do anything. Voluntarily open every single aperture I have with the house, offices, everything for them to come and look and spend hours searching my home. Invited them. Nobody, and...
Okay, so that's not, so maybe you're arguing that point on the obstruction charge, right? On obstruction. But what about the other ones, about possession?
So, in the best of my knowledge, the kinds of things they picked up are things that from 1974.
Wow, you're kidding me. So you've been in possession of classified documents for 30 years? 40 years? 50 years? Holy moly, 50 years.
And stray papers. There may be something else I don't know. But I made...
Maybe his crimes are more serious. What was he doing with classified documents for so long? And man, he looks bad.
My knowledge, the kinds of things they picked up are things that from 1974 and stray papers. There may be something else I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know even. Wow. So you don't even know what's in there. So there could be something more serious. I wonder, are we going to get pictures of his garage and documents splayed out all over the place? Are we? No, of course not. Yesterday, we talked about Jill Biden. She said, I didn't even know the boxes were out there. So is that true? So is not having knowledge of what's in the boxes, is that a defense? Because they're using it. So should it also apply to Donald Trump? Yeah, maybe. But Joe Biden does look bad. And shout out to Bonnie over on Locals. She says that I don't think he had an emergency root canal. Might have been something a little bit more serious out there. And that is a curious comment. Yeah, because on Monday, he was supposed to have some pretty big meetings on Monday. And he actually had to cancel those meetings. And he looks really bad in these images. And it may be something much more than just a root canal. And on that, you can take a look at his presidential schedule. This is something that we look at on our member-only morning streams as we get our bearings straight on the day. But Joe Biden, you can see on Monday, he had a meeting with the NCAA, and he was also meeting with NATO, right? So Jen Stolzenberger from NATO. They were supposed to meet in the Oval Office, but it was rescheduled due to an unscheduled root canal. Unscheduled root canal. Or could it be something more serious? Because, man, he can't even talk. And he's having a very difficult time even staying awake. So what the heck happened? Who knows? But I'm sure it's just the beginning of a long slide as we continue to, unfortunately, watch our president erode away in front of our very eyes. And so, my friends, we also have to talk about what happened in Congress, because as this cover-up continues, senators aren't happy. The FBI continues to try their best to cover up the Biden crime family FD 1023, and Congress was not having it. We've got clips from 3 different senators, Ted Cruz, Blackburn, and Hawley, and we had deputy directors from the FBI in front of Congress, and here is what it sounded like.
Last month, a whistleblower brought to light the existence in the FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme during his time as vice president. Deputy Director Abbate, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations.
Do you owe an obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
You investigate things in America?
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations of evidence of corruption from the president. Yesterday, Senator Chuck Grassley stood on the Senate floor and alleged that there are 17 recordings of this informant from Burisma, Ukrainian natural gas company. 15 of them are recordings, voice recordings of him talking to Hunter Biden. 2 of them are voice recordings of him talking to Joe Biden. Deputy Director Abbate, does the FBI have 17 voice recordings laying out evidence of a bribery scheme?
Senator, I would add also that we've worked with the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, this is the Senate. We're the other side of the Capitol. This is the Senate. Do you have those 17 recordings?
I'm not going to comment on any investigative matters.
Get your markers out.
See, that's the problem. The FBI, and I've had this conversation with Chris Wray too, this is why you are damaging the institution. The American people have a right to know whether there is serious, credible evidence that the President of the United States took a $5 million bribe. And by the way, if it's false, Chairman Durbin just rolled his eyes.
Wow.
If Chairman Durbin were interested in the rule of law, we would have a hearing on these allegations. But of course, the Democrats don't want a hearing on these allegations. And to be clear, if the allegations are false, you know who could disprove them? Joe Biden. He could call for this to be released publicly. But the FBI is stonewalling. Would you agree?
Two things, Senator. No one's stonewalling. The 1023
you just said you refused to answer the question.
In response to a subpoena.
Okay, then why did you refuse to answer my question?
The pertinent information is there, and I reject your assertion that the FBI is politicized.
Why did you refuse to answer my question?
I just answered your question.
Okay, so yes, you have a 1023. Do you have the 17 recordings? Yes or no?
I'm not going to get further into that.
So you're stonewalling. You can't say I'm not refusing to answer your question, but I won't answer your question.
I'm going to answer within the parameters that we operate in.
That's the problem. The FBI has right now an unlimited hubris that you believe you are unaccountable.
They are.
You don't believe you're accountable to the United States Congress.
They aren't.
And you don't believe you're accountable to the American people.
They aren't. They're
and
unelected.
You are doing damage. The FBI is a great institution. When I go home to Texas, people ask me, should we abolish the FBI?
Yes.
Now, I tell them no, because you have heroes and patriots working for you that are catching child predators, that are catching terrorists.
Not at the top.
But you're sitting there happily erecting a wall to protect Joe Biden. Will you provide to this committee, not the House, the Senate Judiciary Committee, will you provide the FD 1023 and will you provide the 17 recordings so we can assess what is the evidence, the specific credible evidence that Joe Biden personally took a $5 million bribe from a foreign national?
Senator, we will work with this committee, you and other members, to provide the information within the parameters of the process.
Will you provide the FD 1023, yes or no?
I will take that back and we will work with our
So you're not
chambers.
answering that. Will you provide the 17 recordings?
We will take that back and we'll work with you.
So
and
you're
your
not
staff.
answering that either. Did you investigate in any way, shape, or form these allegations?
Senator, once again, I'm not going to comment.
So
on
you're not going to say
investigative-
whether you did your job?
We do our job to the very best of our ability.
Well, not here. You're not answering a single question to the American people. And you may think this is esoteric. I promise you, millions of Americans are concerned. You know who isn't concerned? Not a single Senate Democrat. We're going to go through this whole hearing. Not one Democrat will ask a question about this. You know who else isn't concerned? The corporate media, who is joining with the Democrats in covering up this evidence.
$5 million
If Joe Biden is
bribe to the
innocent,
sitting president.
the evidence should be made public and demonstrate that he's innocent. But if he is not, is it true this informant who alleged that he personally took a bribe was an informant the FBI had relied upon previously in other investigations? Yes or no?
In each and every investigation that we have, all the work that we do,
I asked you
the
a yes or no
expectation
question.
is that every logical avenue investigation be pursued
I asked you a
to
yes
its
or no
fullest.
question. Are you going to answer it?
Yeah, I'm answering your question.
Was the informant one you had relied on previously in other investigations? Yes or no?
Senator, we run down every piece of information. Every
You're not
lead,
answering it then. You're refusing to answer
objectively,
it. So you're refusing to answer the
to
question.
the fullest extent possible.
refusing to answer the question.
relentlessly,
Is that correct?
aggressively in all instances.
Senator, your
It's
time is
disgraceful. It's disgraceful, Deputy Director Abbate. Disgraceful.
Deputy Director Abbate. Man, you see how condescending they are to Congress? They don't respect him at all. We've talked about it here. FBI Director Christopher Wray, when he was sitting there in front of Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson last time, he's like, "Are we done here? I got to get out of here. I got a plane to catch." He said, "No, we're coming back here this afternoon." And Wray said, "Well, I got to get out of here, man. It's the weekend." And so now this director, deputy director, just sits there. "I'm not answering your questions. You're Congress, Ted. What do you think you are? We're the FBI. We run this place." Here's another clip from Blackburn.
Then let me ask you this. You said in your response to Senator Cruz that you and the FBI do your job to the best of your ability.
Okay.
So why don't you tell me what your job is? Is it to defend and shield Joe Biden, or is your job to protect this country and the Constitution of the United States? Which is it?
The job of the FBI is to protect the country, keep people safe, and uphold the Constitution of our great country.
Unless you're a Democrat.
So why
That's
are
what we
you-
work
you
to
don't get
do every day.
prosecuted.
Objectively, there are not two standards of justice. There is only one. It's applied equally to
Practically,
each and
in
every
my
person.
perception, there are two standards, very clear standards of justice in this country. We see it every single day. The American people see this every single day. They look at you and they see a politicized entity that is weaponizing an agency of the federal government against the American people.
That is
They
not the
think
FBI that I
out.
see, Senator.
That is not the FBI. You see, there are a lot of good people that work for the FBI, but you have a political cabal there. So why did you decide to conceal the information in that revelation to the House Oversight Committee? Why did you redact all of that pertaining to the phone calls?
We have exceptional people within the in
You're
the
not
FBI,
answering the
very
question.
best.
Why did you redact that
And they
information?
work relentlessly every day to keep this
You
country
chose
safe
not
and
to
to protect
reveal
people.
that the
Period.
calls were there, and Senator Grassley found it out anyway. Is that accurate?
With regard to the
You chose to
document,
you chose to redact it, yes or no?
we often redact documents to protect
So you
sources and
chose to
methods.
redact
Biden,
the fact
To protect our
that
political
there are
boss, our
17
ally.
voice recordings, 2 of those with the now president. You chose to redact that and not to give that to House Oversight.
I have
Is
no
that
idea
accurate?
if there are voice recordings or not. What I will tell you with respect to the
You have
document,
no-
the document was redacted to protect the source, as everyone knows.
Well, then
and this is
let-
a question.
He's like an angry teenager pouting, right? He's just snubbing his nose at Congress. He's so irritated to be there. He can't even believe he has to answer questions from these people. So condescending. He's bothered to even be there. You're Congress. Oh, gosh. No, I'm not telling you anything. We redact stuff because you don't know anything. We're the FBI.
Of life
My
and death,
time has
potentially.
expired, but I think it would be helpful if when you came before us, if you were willing to answer the questions, it would help to
It would help.
remove the perception that the American people have, because this is what they see. They see you do it every day.
Yeah, they see
and
this.
that is politicizing the FBI and using it against the American people who don't happen to be named Biden, Clinton, or one of the elites.
Yeah, I remember I used to look like this and kind of talk like this. My mom would be like, "No, you can't go over to that, to that party tonight. What are you, nuts?" I'd be like, "Oh, okay, fine." She'd say, "How's your school?" I'd be like, "School's great." Right, yeah. School's fine, right. That's how I'd pout. Yeah, it was great. Thanks for asking, Mom. Yeah. Because my mom wouldn't let me go to a party or something. That's how I was acting. But I was a teenager, I was just a little punk little kid back then. This is a grown adult at the FBI, and he's acting like that. So it's pretty embarrassing, but not a big surprise, because the FBI is turning themselves into a joke. They're doing it to themselves. It's not us doing it to them. It's them doing it to themselves. If they were a legitimate institution, nobody would have criticisms about it. But they're not. They cover up and they prosecute their political opponents, and they call it in the name of justice, which is embarrassing.
Senator Hawley.
Now, this is Senator Hawley, who comes after Blackburn, and he picks up on what she was saying. Here he is. He is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Abbate, let me just stay with you. You just started to answer Senator Blackburn's question that not releasing the 1023 or talking about it as a matter of life and death. Question of life and death, you said.
Wow.
Explain.
It is potentially a question of life and death with regard to the source of the information.
Wait a minute. The source of the information. All right. So you can look at his face. He knows it's total BS too. Look at that little tension right there in the bottom right side of the mouth. He knows it's total crap. Protect the source. What are you talking about? He came to you guys. And you could definitely redact his name, but what about the part where the audio recordings are revealed? Why can't you leave that uncovered? Because that is, of course, the big thing they want to cover up.
Said. Explain.
It is potentially a question of life and death with regard to the source of the information.
So, okay, so now we've confirmed that the document exists. That's progress, because the FBI director initially denied that it exists. Why did he do that?
We have already and previously acknowledged the existence of the document.
Took a lot of arm
after you
twisting to
first
do
denied
that.
it. Now, when a member of this committee read it, right, the FBI director, let's just get the record straight. The FBI director initially said it doesn't exist. Then Senator Grassley said, I've read it. Then he said, oh, okay, well, gotcha. I guess it does exist.
Why are you guys lying to us?
Now you're going back and forth with members of this committee what's in it. Why don't you just release it? Is it classified?
The document is not classified.
Okay. Will you commit to releasing it?
Senator, we'll take that back and we will work with you in this committee.
How about just a yes or no? Will you commit to releasing this unclassified document that alleges that the President of the United States, has taken $5 million or more in bribes from a foreign nation?
The document has already been released pursuant to a subpoena to the House Oversight Committee.
Has it been released to this committee?
We'll work with this committee.
Did they give him possession?
Within the parameters that are established to meet
Will you
the
release the
request.
document to the public? It's unclassified. Don't you think the American people have a right to see it?
Senator, the document, as you know, contains sensitive information that has bearing on the life of the source of the information, potentially.
You can hide his name.
Redact the source's name?
Yeah.
We do this all the time.
Yeah. But they're not going to do it. They're just going to continue to hide behind my sources and methods and my open investigation. And it's all nonsense. So the FBI, they know that they're actually in charge. They report to Joe Biden. Joe Biden can do whatever he wants now because he's now shattering history, prosecuting his political opponents. And He's going to try to continue to do this because I think this is the only thing they have, honestly. They have failures everywhere else you look. The border's a disaster. Foreign policy is a disaster. Economic policy is looking like it's a disaster. We're going to continue to see what happens, of course. But we hope that Congress continues to put pressure on the FBI. Maybe at some point they'll wake up and realize that they are on the wrong side of history. They are supporting Joe Biden and a criminal cabal that's wrecking the foundation of this country. Maybe that's what they want. Who knows? We'll continue to cover. Thank you, my friends, for liking this video wherever it is you're watching this. Thank you for subscribing and joining us as we continue to cover. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends, that is it for us on the day. We covered some good ground. We got the Cruz, Blackburn, Hawley grilling of the FBI. We got updates on the 17 audio recordings and the Joe Biden attempt to cover it up. Grassley revealed all of that to us. Very good stuff. We also heard about this prosecutor called Karen Gilbert, Matt Gaetz, telling us she makes donos to the Democrats, and she has already been removed for conflicts of interest or for unethical misconduct. And lastly, we got the latest update, Trump promising to appoint a special prosecutor to go after the Biden crime family. And now, my friends, it's time to hear from you and to see what you have to say. Thank you for sending in those amazing, supportive super chats and donos and member invitations. We are grateful for everybody who supports the work that we do here. And so now, my friends, we're going to turn it over and see what you have to say about this. Over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com and our friends on YouTube and Rumble and elsewhere. Here we have, hey, Cold Galaxy. Cold Galaxy is in the house and became a member. Welcome to our amazing community, Cold Galaxy. And Dolphin Fan is the man, brought in 5 new members. Oh man, our membership is just growing by leaps and bounds. It's super cool. And I'm so grateful for everybody. Dolphin Fan is bringing in Fat Mama in the house with a PH. Albert White, Carolyn W, Peng 1, and Fue Beghart is also coming in, courtesy of our friend. Dolphin Fan is the man. Thank you very much, Dolphin Fan. And C. John, welcome, C. John. C. John is inviting 5 new people too. Angela G, Donnie Danko, Valhalla Awaits, Crystal Hart, and C. Reed also got a membo over on YouTube. Thank you very much to C. John for inviting 5 new membos as well. And we're going to be doing some more, I think, membo stuff tomorrow and Friday, since we're not going to be doing a live show tomorrow or Friday, as a reminder. We have Eddie Oliver is in the house. He says, you know, I haven't worked around the law like I do now, but for a mere decade, so I could be off. But in my 53 young years, I remember attorney-client privilege being a big deal. Yeah, this is from Eddie Oliver, from our friend over in Texas. Yeah, it is a big deal. I think it still is a big deal, unless your name is Trump. If your name is Trump, then it's no longer a big deal. It is a big deal. And honestly, what we've seen, Eddie, out of this DOJ has been so gross and so shameful. We also saw it in the Proud Boys case, where they were sending CHSs into attorneys' offices, okay, to meet with them. They were sending CHSs into prayer groups, brother. Prayer groups. So they have no shame. They'll do whatever they want to win. It's disgusting behavior. Good to see you, Eddie. Thanks for being here. Hey, Fred Pedamonte is here. He said, the FBI is afraid of the CHS's life? What? We wouldn't hurt him. So who are they afraid of? Who would Epstein him? Only people involved with Biden would want to do that. That's a great point, Fred. Yeah, it's certainly not going to be the so-called MAGA insurrectionist extremists, homegrown domestic violent terrorists who are going to do anything to this guy. We might throw him a party. I mean, if the CHS wants to come out and, I don't know, wants to go to like Vegas or something and come on the street, we'll throw a party for him. We'll have a coming out party, man. Well, you know, hey, man, welcome to American political life. I'm sure we could have a big rally. You know, it'd be very fun. Now, Joe Biden's people might want to just take him out. Might want to probably will call the Hillary people and have a meeting. Joe Biden would probably be marbles in his mouth still. Anyways, good to see you, Fred. This one came in from Rocky Water. Over on Locals says, Mr. Govea, I had to miss the past live shows. Man, that's a bummer. Hopefully it was for a good reason, though, Rocky. Says, glad to catch again, and thanks as always. My comment and yearly attempt at humor says, if the president is allowed to mishandle sensitive docs without any limits, how on earth is one supposed to make a living selling access to those documents? Trump's ruining the market for classified documents. It's true. It is a funny comment, right? Because that's I'm pretty sure, Rocky, that's exactly how Clinton Foundation got started. I don't know if she was selling access to classified documents, but she was selling access to something. I thought it was kind of the whole grift. I mean, didn't Joe Biden, rumored to have, Hunter really got up to speed on some really complex world issues very quickly and translated those things into emails. Where did he get that? I think maybe he was getting access to the classified documents, but he was paying big money for those things, man, or getting paid big money for those things. $5 million. Yeah, Trump didn't even have an opportunity to sell them yet. Thought that he would have, but it's a funny joke. Good to see you, Rocky. Thanks for being here, my friend. Glad you made it. Drew says, if the House leader controls the D.C. police, can he have a warrant issued to raid the FBI headquarters? I don't think so, no. No, but it'd be funny. I wish something like that maybe could have happened. That'd be fun. You know, maybe that's going to happen soon. We'll fast forward a couple of years, and that's what will literally happen. Right? I mean, that's how these civil wars and social divisions happen. They start very slowly. And then, you know, one state says, well, we're just not going to take those goods from you anymore. And actually, we're going to tax you now. And, you know, then it starts to slowly devolve. And before you know it, one side sends their police into the other side's police. And then you have different factions that create their military, right? And their little militias. And so, but to be more serious and answer your question, what I think you're referring to is the House Sergeant at Arms. And basically, I'm pretty sure that position is only limited to the congressional complex. And they work closely with the DC police, but I don't think anybody has control over the DC police to give them, you know, an order. Go take out, go, bring me Christopher Wray. Crystal Hart, hey, Crystal, thank you. Says, Crystal invited 5 new people into our amazing membership. Thank you very much, Crystal Hart. TC, High Definition, Sulrin, Dano, and Mark Gangler in the house, courtesy of our friend Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. Very, very nice of you. And welcome to everybody. We've got Penny over on Rumble. Says, my teen son once snuck the car out overnight. Oh, man. When I asked, he denied it vehemently. Well, it's a good rule. Deny, deny, deny. I knew he'd done it. Finally, he admitted it at 2 a.m. and said he hadn't lied. It was in the morning. It wasn't at night. Shout out to Penny Whitbroth's son. Oh, that's just great. It's true. Technically true. Man, he should get into the law. I like that. No, I didn't take it out at night. Of course I didn't I would never take it out at night. I would never do that, Mom. How dare you accuse me? I thought you were going to say he was sulking like I would sulk when I got busted, like the FBI agent. That's hilarious. Shout out to your son. Hey, and Penny Whitbroth has a great channel over on Rumble, and make sure you're following her as well, our Rumble friends. Check out Penny Whitbroth's channel. She does good stuff over there. I'm following her for sure. Devin Knox says, shouldn't Congress' first question to the FBI be, who do you think will kill your witness? Yeah, that's another great one. Who's going to kill him? Is it Hillary Clinton's team? Or do you know? Do you have any ideas who that is? Is there anything we can do to mitigate that so you can release this document? So it sounds like what you're talking about is a pretty serious issue. So you certainly are investigating this, right? You've looked into this allegation? Amazing. Good to see you, Devin. C. Wolf says, if lives are on the line with the 1023, why wasn't it classified? There's all sorts of issues here. It's a great question, C. Wolf. If lives are on the line, why wouldn't you classify it? And it sounds like Chuck Grassley has read the whole thing. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but so he must know the name of this person. And Grassley is just going to continue to drip, drip, drip this stuff out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Trust 2 Kids says $5 says the FBI lies through their teeth. I will not take that bet. Otherwise, I'd be giving you $5. Thank you, Trust You Kids. I think that is true. I think they lie in their filings. They lie with their words. They lie all the time. Salty Sarge says, great show as always. I know it's enraging, but thanks for keeping it clean. You never want to go full salty. Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Salty Sarge. 2021 over on Rumble. Shout out to our friends over on Rumble. And yeah, we try to keep it clean. You know, sometimes I say, some of the minor ones slip out from time to time. But we try to keep it clean. We try to keep it family friendly and accessible so that we're not scaring away the youth out there. And so thank you, Salty. Thanks for the feedback, my man. I appreciate that. And we had another one from A Bad Poet. Says the FBI in Mueller investigation offered $1 million for proof. Why not offer the same to the informant in this case? It's a great question. I didn't know that. They offered $1 million for proof. I didn't know that at all. I mean, I presume they were putting a lot of pressure on a lot of people to dig up the information. They had the unlimited resources of the DOJ, and they went hard at it, and they came up with basically nothing. But the efforts for Joe are just not there. Hey, NY Renal MD is sharing this one. Obama officials were bothered by the Hunter Biden Burisma job book. Let's take a look at this link real quickly. This one came in over on Locals. Says Obama's White House was, quote, bothered by Hunter Biden's ties to the Ukrainian company Burisma. According to a new book, they thought it was unseemly. It is. Yeah, it's unethical. Unseemly is a nice word. The book is called Joe Biden: The Life and Other Things and What Matters Now. Hit bookstores some time ago. It's on Amazon. Joe Biden: The Life, the Run, and What Matters by Evan Osnos. It's going to have some details on that. I'm sure it's just going to be a story of, gross. All right, and so that was over from the NY Renal MD in the House. And let's see what else we've got. Michael Allen Hughes says the Trump new desktop boo will be called Top Secret. Oh, his desktop book will be called Top Secret with Authentic Secrets. Top Secret with Authentic Secrets. Well, that sounds good. I'd read that book. Sounds like a good book. Michael Allen Hughes. Thanks for sending that one in. This one came in from, hey, Crash to the Contrary. No question, but thank you. Crash to the Contrary. Thanks for sending that in, my friend. I appreciate it. No question on there, but I do appreciate the support. I'm very glad you're here. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, my friend. And Madeline Mack became a supporter. Welcome, Madeline Mack. And remember, my friends, we've got a bunch of new supporters that came in, and thanks to everybody who invited them in. Super cool. If you are on YouTube, don't forget to grab the Telegram link, which is in the community section, in the post section. You can go over there and grab the Telegram link because we are going to be wrapping up here, but we're going to have our after party, which is where we debrief the show and we talk about the real good stuff after the show's over. But let's say hello to our friends on Twitter. We had a couple comments over there. And who's in the house? We have Danny McWilliams. He says, nothing is going to happen to the FBI. I mean, come on. They are the swamp. All they get is a slap on the hand. Prove me wrong. I dare you, says Danny McWilliams. Raven Madness. Hey, says that jail guy got released from jail. The jail guy from yesterday. So he actually got charged from Raven Madness. So go check that one out if you'd like to watch that video. Vientikis says, here's the problem. Not only are these just words like last time, but these are realistically the same words that our political discourse is being thrust into. It's the I can fix it, I'm your hero. This call to arms is to support me rhetoric. It's a good point, V. You know, there are some people saying that, hey, you know, Trump already promised special prosecutors for Clinton, and he didn't do that. And so my response to that would be, well, he didn't break the seal, right? He wanted to do it. I'm sure he did. The DOJ probably talked him out of it. And so now that the seal is broken, well, now it's all fair games. So I'm wondering if we are going to hear a lot of the same stuff. Probably. But because this is a new era, this is a new precedent has been set. I mean, I really do believe this. If the Republicans don't respond in kind and start playing the same way the Democrats play, which is unfair and anti-American, then they are going to lose as a party and they will be pushed out and we will live in a one-party state. So it's a do or die situation for them. If the Republicans don't do it, if they don't start changing things, they will no longer exist. Which is really the only reason I think that they might actually do something at some point. And eventually they'll be voted out, right? The people who don't do anything, because this is on a long arc, right? This is not this election cycle, but in the next 20 years, there will be major shifts and the Republican Party will cease to exist practically, even more than it already does. Raven says, Ashley saying we're so lucky while shaking her head from side to side. That's interesting take. I didn't catch that. Triple threat. Cruz, Blackburn, and Hawley. He led a masterclass. Actually, they did a great job. And I think it's awesome you noticed that, Raven. Did you see how they all played off of the prior person's questions? I thought it was great. Cruz started, Blackburn picked it up and said, well, you just answered this. And then Hawley said, oh, well, you just responded to Blackburn. I love that. I'd like to see more of that happening. And so, yeah, was Ashley Biden shaking her head? Let's watch that one more time. Was she shaking her head? She had some interesting body language. And then I was also watching the hug. It was an interesting hug, too. Where did I put that one? Here it is. Yeah. Yeah, she is shaking her head. Oh, man. Watch.
I am of you. America, you are so lucky to have him as your president.
Right there.
I don't know anybody who really, truly works harder for you, for the American people. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Hey.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Ashley's father.
All right. Yeah, so you can actually see it in the gift that I got right there. She's sort of shaking it right there. Yeah. Yeah, they're all in it for the grift. It's all just a big, giant, disgusting scam. All right, so we also had another one come in from our friend Indoctrination. Indoctrination says, shared this one on Locals. Thank you, Indoctrination. Said the following. Here's a meme. It says, to learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. With this giant fat hand, probably of the government, squashing the little people underneath it, our disgusting federal government. Thank you for that one. Indoctrination. Good quote there from Voltaire. A Bad Poet says, sorry, it was the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier, the FBI offered $1 million. Thanks for the correction on that, Bad Poet. Is that right? They did, huh? $1 million? Gosh. They really wanted him pretty badly, didn't they? Pretty badly. Now, apparently I missed V's thread. So here's the rest of Vientikus's thread. Let's do this over. He says, here's the problem. Not only are these just words like last time, but these are realistically the same words that our political discourse is being thrust into. It's the I can fix it, I'm your hero. This call to arms is to support me. At Vientikus on Twitter says, take away the surrounding persecutions and it's basically the same rhetoric. Where's the empowerment of self? Where's the rallying for people to get together, participate, and make the changes in their communities? Where's the idea of creating a better world? If he is saying it, why do people not focus on it? All I see is two teams making heroes, and one's just the one with the ball right now. From what I see, this is all just the stuff where the majority of the people become casualties of the political theater. End. From Vientikus on Twitter. And so, yeah, it's a good comment, V. You know, there's an unfortunate pattern where the masses are just bundled up into giant voting blocks to go vote. And that's all that it really is. And the Democrats are very, very good at this. A lot of intersectionality. You're a black American, right? Yeah, so you got to vote for Democrats, right? And if you don't, then you're not black, says Joe Biden. You go, what? Do they care at all about that particular community and stopping the cycle of difficulty in that community or any other community? No. They just treat people like trading cards. They say, I've got 3 black people and a couple trans people and a few gays over here, and I've got all of this, so I've got a strong hand, and they put them in their administration like that is an accomplishment. And it's a strange thing. And I often wonder, I go, are they actually solving anything, or is this it's about representation and that's it? But they take those as big victories and they tell us that they've done something meaningful. And maybe it's meaningful, I don't know. But I think there are a lot of other bigger problems that people care about more that they're not paying attention to. So this is, rather than the intersectionality, my point is it doesn't feel authentic. They're just using people. And so, my friends, we are going to wrap it up, my friends, here today. We're going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our after party. And Salty Sarge says, Ashley had a Floridian slip for sure, from Salty Sarge. A Floridian slip. That's a funny comment from Salty Sarge. Thank you for sending that in over on Rumble. And my friends, we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our after party. For our members only streams, we are going to be hitting Trump docket updates, even if they're slow. Okay, we're just going to check them and see what's going on. This is a historic prosecution. And so we're going to be covering it in detail. All the good stuff, the big stuff, we are going to be bringing it out, obviously, to all the platforms. But for the daily stuff, if you want to really get into the nitty gritty, what's happening every day, all the minor things that are just not worthy of talking about, we're going to be getting into it heavily over the next, 2 years probably. So come join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And if you join us on YouTube, don't forget to grab the Telegram link, and you're going to get access to all the same stuff as well. Also, don't forget to grab your Field of Greens over at fieldofgreens.com, and you can save 15% off your order by using code Robert. It's great stuff. I drink it. It's good. The vegetables want to be eaten. It doesn't taste like a bag of grass. Okay, it tastes good, actually. I put it in sparkling water, shake it up. It's almost like a little bit of a frothy shake to it. It's good. So check it out, fieldofgreens.com. Save 15% off with code Robert. If you like this mind map software, if you want to use it, I get a lot of questions about it. What software is this? How does it work? Check it out, spotlightlawyer.com/mindmap. You can create a free account and start using it at your heart's desire. Big shout out to our friends, our mods and meme smiths who mod and meme smith the fort down for us. Shout outs to our friend Vienticus Prime, K-Bean, we got Just Cause, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zulu's in the house, Beyond Geostars, Zach Nichols, John Allen, Janek 909, Dog Digger, and Donut Mind Me, along with our meme smiths, Sleepy Dog Lee, Geegum Geegum, and Nathan N810. And Rocky Water sent in this tip, says there's hope. We got up to 60 watching today on locals. Onward and upward. Keep a shining that spotlight, baby. Yeah, our locals is growing too. We do. We got a good chat over on locals. And so thank you to Rocky Water for sending that in. We're all over the place, baby. We're having a ton of fun. Thank you to Sleepy Dog Lee, Geegum Geegum, and Nathan N810 in the house, who are meme smithing the fort down for us. And that, my friends, is it. No, we have one more tip on locals. Says the Uniparty, this one came in from End the NFA. Oh, I think we got that one. The Uniparty will make we did not get this one. End the NFA. Thank you for sending this one. Says the Uniparty will make DeSantis versus Newsom happen. Trump is not a node in the Rewriting America mind map. Whoo! That's from End the NFA. That's a good comment. They really want Newsom to happen. Really want Newsom to happen. He wants Newsom to happen. And I think the establishment would be very happy with that. Good comment from End the NFA. And I think that, my friends, is it for us on the day. And so we are going to wrap it up right there. Members, stick around. We'll be doing our members only after party and hanging out. And so that is it, my friends. I want to thank you for joining us. One final reminder, we will not be doing live streams tomorrow, Thursday, the 15th, or Friday, the 16th, because I will be at a two-day event, a two-day conference all day. And so I'm going to be pouring my heart into that. And then we'll come back and get back to the live show on Monday, fully refreshed and rejuvenated. If you are a member, definitely come and join us, because we'll still be trying to post some other stuff for members. And if I can get something recorded while I'm there, I'll also get it out across all of the other platforms. But it should be an amazing conference. I always learn a lot, come back with a ton of new ideas and new energy and new relationships that I always share with you. And so I appreciate you understanding as we take a couple days off. I'll do my best to get some other stuff out in the meantime. But that is it for us, everybody. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week and you make it a great one, because we're going to be very busy when we come back. And until then, my friends, I hope you have a beautiful week, an amazing weekend, and a great rest of your night. And I hope to see you right back here on the next one, so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here on the next one. Bye-bye.